house guests. Welcome to today's Big Brother 27 updates and spoilers. My brain is broken from everything that went down over the weekend. How did we get here? If you didn't watch yesterday's spoiler, you might want to watch that one because that will tell you how we got here. Seriously, it is you don't want to miss it type of stream. But anyway, our house guests of the day, we have Dursey and her pup Nikki. Thank you both so much. She sent a fun Bigfoot sticker, which I love, and a beautiful letter, so thank you so much. We have Nika S, thank you for watching with us, and we have Janet Tucker, her cat Houdini, and her dog Dami. Thank you guys, you're amazing. And Janet Tucker goes by Solo Angel Mom on here in honor of her son Jordan, who passed away. So our hearts go out to you, Janet, and we are very glad that you are a part of our community. So if you guys want to be house guests of the day, send us an email to madrosed@gmail.com. Put house guest of the day in the subject line, and we will add you to the list. Thank you all again. All right. Yesterday was a doozy, right? Today, you get ready to keep shaking your head. So when we left off yesterday, they had the power veto ceremony. Keanu, Kelly, and Riley were all on the block. Keanu used the veto on himself because duh, what? Like it's hard? Mickey put up Jimmy in his place. Oh my God. And again, if you want to get the full story about how that came about, make sure you watch yesterday's stream. Yes, you heard that right. Mickey put up her own ally, Jimmy. Multiple alliances together. Triple threat. Heavy hitters 2.0. Like, they've been working together. What is going on with these people? Why do these people keep putting up their own allies? It's nuts. Jimmy had suspected the night before that he could be going up because Mickey and Morgan were being really weird with him, like interrogating him. The vibes were off, right? And I think they actually did tell him right before the ceremony, like, look, people have been throwing your name out there. You're going up. But he was still feeling blindsided about actually going up on the block, as he should, because who expects that their own allies are going to put them up week 4? That's a bold ass move, and I'm going to say a mistake. I'm going to go out there on a limb and call it a mistake. But after the ceremony, Mickey and Morgan were trying to convince themselves that they made a good move. We talked about this yesterday. Mickey was saying no one else was ballsy enough to do that. It's one word for it. She said, I really had to make this HOH count for me. Sending home Lauren or Catherine would have done nothing for my game. And she keeps saying this, that she wanted to make this HOH count. And I feel like a huge part of her making this move was just that she wanted to take out a big player, no matter who it was, right? A big player, a big power player. And for some reason, she decided the best big player to take out would be someone who was working with her. And I will say, of course, Jimmy has been working the house, right? He's been trying to work with as many people as possible, basically, make sure he's good with all of them. But like, he's still closer to Mickey than someone like Zach or Vince, who is doing the exact same thing, but better. So it's wild to me. It really does feel like she was just trying to take out a big player, no matter who it is. It's a mistake. But she says, I'm sending home the biggest pot stirrer in the house. I think there's other ones. Who's also a great competitor and has an exceptional social game. It's a huge move, if you say so. Jimmy was trying to stay positive after going up on the block. He was saying, I'm going to win the blockbuster, and if not, I'm going to try and get these votes to stay. It's possible, right? It's going to be really tough for him to get those votes, but it is possible. I do think he has a really strong chance of winning that blockbuster. There are 3 strong competitors going into that, though, so it could be anybody's game. Jimmy and Mickey did chat yesterday. Again, if you want to hear more about that conversation, make sure you watch yesterday's stream. But just a brief overview here. Mickey told Jimmy, I had to separate personal from game. You know, I love you as a person, but I felt like you were playing both sides and you were using some tactics that I felt were bettering your own game, but not mine or Morgan's. And we're supposed to be working together in triple threat. And again, this just seems like so hypocritical to me because she has also been building alliances without Jimmy involved, as has Morgan. Morgan is involved heavily with Vince and Zach, but that's okay. For some reason, that's okay. So she asked Jimmy, why is Keanu targeting me and Morgan and not you? Why is he targeting 2 out of 3 members of our alliance and you're the one that he's not targeting? And why did you not try to get the target on you to try and help diffuse it and take the target off of us? Was he supposed to go to Keanu and be like, target me? Who would do that? Also, Jimmy has put Keanu on the block. It's not Jimmy's fault that Keanu is delusional and has been thinking that they're good with each other. That's not his fault. But Jimmy insisted to Mickey everything that he's done in the game has been to benefit their triple threat alliance. And he says it really hurts that you did not trust me enough to have this conversation before we got here, right? You just decided to put me up on the block without talking about these things with me. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But okay, yesterday afternoon, let's get into the new stuff. Yesterday afternoon, Will and Ashley were having a chat, and Will was talking about who he wants to protect in this game. So he says, Ashley, of course. He says, Ava. He says, I want to protect Mickey? Question mark. He's not so sure about that one anymore. He wants to protect Rachel. So he goes over his list again, and this time he leaves Mickey off. He says, I want to protect Ashley, Ava, and Rachel. Love it. Let's keep in mind, Will, Ashley, and Mickey are supposed to be in an alliance together called Peach Cobbler. But it's looking like Ashley and Will are not wanting to work with Mickey anymore. I mean, look what she did to Jimmy. What's going to stop her from doing the same thing to them? They're not feeling great about her. So looking at this group here, Ashley, Ava, Rachel, Will. Ashley says Ava could very easily just coast right to the end. No one even looks at her as a potential nominee, right? Nobody's talking about getting her out. Rachel used Ava as a code name for herself the other day, but that's a whole different story. They agree it seems sometimes like Ava is on summer vacation. I don't think they even realized at that point that Ava basically helped flip Zach and Vince their votes last week to make sure that Will was going to stay against Adrian. Like, she played such a huge part in that vote, but they don't even realize it. So she is playing this game. Does she have a very different play style? Yeah, but she is playing. Yeah, so they feel like sometimes she's kind of on summer vacation, but they do agree that she's smart. They also agree they do not want Jimmy to go this week. They said under no circumstances. So Jimmy does have some potential votes here. He needs 6 to stay this week. So if he had Will, Ashley, Rachel 100% wants Jimmy to stay. Ava, I think, could be persuaded. Like, that's 4 right there. So you never know what could happen. Ashley says if Jimmy stays, he's going to be loyal to us. She feels like this is a really great situation for them because they were at the bottom with Jimmy before. He did not view them as his top allies, but now look at what Mickey and Morgan did to him. So he's not going to want to work with them as much anymore. And Will and Ashley are going to move up on Jimmy's list of allies. So they're excited for that. Will says also, Mickey and Morgan think that they have us, right? They think that we're going to just do whatever they want. They are never going to see this coming. Woo! They're also talking about how annoyed they are that they're realizing Morgan and Mickey just want them in jury to be a vote for Morgan or Mickey to win this whole thing. And they said it's time to flip this game upside down. Yes, it has been so exhausting and annoying the last few days hearing Mickey and Morgan talk about who they want on the jury and who would potentially vote for them and blah, blah, blah. It's also terrible gameplay to say this to other people's faces. Like, I really think you on jury would be good for me. You're basically telling the person, I want you to vote for me to win, but I don't want you to be at the end with me. That's what that sounds like. That's really bad. So they're getting a little bit out of control with that. So a little later, and it has consequences, as we can see here. But a little later, Will is chatting with Mickey, and Will's like, "Well, you did it. You shook the hornet's nest, right? You really shook things up." So Mickey says, "Best case scenario, Jimmy goes this week." And then Rachel can be the one to take a shot at Vince, because Rachel has been talking a lot about how she wants Vince out of here. Mickey says she could not be the one to do that, to take out Vince, because Morgan is so close to Vince, and that would have blown up her game with Morgan. But she says if Rachel or Ashley want to take that shot at Vince, that's fine with her. So Mickey is also, again, saying, I had to make my HOH count. And this is going to be a good move long-term for my game. If you say so. Mickey says she does not think that Jimmy would have the votes to stay if he doesn't win the blockbuster. So she's counting, and she tells Will, I know you're going to vote Jimmy out. I wouldn't be making those assumptions, but she's like, all right, Will, Morgan, Ava, Ashley, Vinny, Zach, that's 6 right there. And then they feel like they would also have Riley or Kelly, whichever one would come off of the block with the blockbuster. Catherine, Lauren, Keanu, that's more than enough votes. They feel, or Mickey feels very confident that Jimmy would go. So then Mickey starts talking about Kelly. And she's like, I feel so bad that Kelly's been up on the block for 4 weeks, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you are one of the people who put her up. But she says, I told Kelly that I would try to advocate for her to keep her safe next week. So she says, Kelly is not coming for us. I mean, she's not coming for Will anyway, but she's not happy with Mickey. She is not happy that Mickey used her as a weapon this week, right? To try and take out Keanu. She didn't appreciate that. So Mickey is telling Will, if you win HOH, maybe don't put Kelly up on the block as one of your initial nominees. That's really rich that it was okay for her to do it, but now anybody else that does it, it's too much. They need to give Kelly a break. Also, she tells Will, don't put her up as an initial nominee, but putting her up after the veto is okay. What? Not only are you giving her less of a chance to save herself, but is that better? No, that's still terrible. And the fact that she's trying to tell Will what he should do with his nominations is wild. The HOH-itis is raging. And it's funny because Mickey technically didn't even win the HOH competition. She's in there because of that special power she had. But she still got that HOH-itis. So Mickey says, Kelly trusts me and I'm good with Riley. So she's feeling really good about her positioning in this game right now. So then Mickey goes a step further and she tells Will who he should put up if he wins HOH. She said, you should put up Keanu and Catherine. So obviously she still wants Keanu out, but now you're saying Catherine should go up on the block? So she says she could not put Catherine up because Riley would have been pissed at her. Lady, you got a lot of nerve. So it's okay if Riley's pissed at Will. He can take that heat. Come on. So Will asks Mickey, do you think anyone's targeting you now? And Mickey says, I don't think I'd go up for at least the next 3 weeks. I don't see anyone taking a shot at me, maybe in 4 or 5 weeks. I think she spent too much time talking to Keanu the other day because she is now hanging out in Delulu Land, Deluluville, Delulu Island. I don't know, but what is this? She really thinks after all that she is not going to be a target for 4 or 5 weeks. That's insane. She says she would be comfortable with anyone winning HOH this week except for Keanu, Jimmy, if he stays, or Catherine. So I love how she still does not trust Catherine, but she just refused to put her up this week. You could have put her up. What the hell? So Ava joins them And Mickey is asking Ava, would you vote Jimmy out if he does not win the blockbuster competition? And Ava's like, that's what you'd want, right? Like, she's not really wanting to give a solid answer here, but she's making it seem like she would do what Mickey wants. And she says, if Jimmy asks me, I'm not going to give him a solid, like, no, I'm not voting for you to stay. She says she's going to give him some loosey goosey answer, like, oh, I want you here. From what I'm hearing, she definitely sounds flippable, especially if Will starts campaigning for Jimmy to stay. Ava trusts Will a lot. So I could definitely see Ava being a vote for Jimmy to stay. But Ava says if it is between Riley and Jimmy, she would keep Riley. And Mickey's like, yes, we need to save Riley at all costs. Ew, why? Why? No. I don't understand the whole Mickey Riley connection. Like, we still have to see the screaming match that happened after she activated her power, because we're going to be seeing that on tomorrow night's episode. And from what we saw without sound, it looked pretty damn bad. But for some reason, she is like so trusting of him now, and I don't get it. But Ava says, well, I do have a nice personal relationship with Jimmy. She feels like Jimmy would sell her down the river so quickly. She says he is a manipulator. She can't really trust him. So Ava does, however, bring up a grievance about Riley. She is pissed because Riley came to her at one point and was like, hey, could you look out for Catherine in the game? Could you protect her? And she was like, why am I going to do that? Who's protecting me? Why am I being tasked with protecting Catherine? We are all on our own in here. She does nothing. And she already has Riley looking out for her, right? She's already got an extra person. Why am I supposed to be doing that too? Mm-mm. So Mickey is like, yeah, well, we need Riley and jury because she thinks Riley's going to vote for her. But Catherine can go soon. We don't need her in jury. Again, you could have taken her out. Oh my God. But later, Morgan and Vince are chatting, and these two are both whiny. Vince is getting really nervous that Rachel is going to blow up at him soon. He's bringing up all the little comments. Rachel saying, like, I don't need to talk to you. The dagger eyes. Rachel is not even trying to hide at this point how much she is over Vince at this point. It is very obvious that she would be targeting him if she got some power. She sees him playing all sides of the house and she wants him out. So he says, Rachel hates me. It's not fair. What did I do? She hates me. I mean, on a game level, yeah, she pretty much does hate him. But as a person, nah. Okay, so Morgan, she's doing her whining. She is pissed that Jimmy has not been talking to her, specifically since the veto ceremony. Why should he? Why does he owe you a conversation? He doesn't. But she says Jimmy has not taken accountability for the stuff that he did to get him put on the block. So Mickey puts Jimmy up and he's supposed to go apologize about it to Morgan. Make that make sense. But they agree that Jimmy has to go this week because Mickey took a big swing and it's really going to suck for them if Jimmy does end up staying. I hope he does. So speaking of Jimmy, he was spending a lot of time with Rachel yesterday. They were talking about him manifesting a blockbuster competition win and then following that up with an HOH win. I'd love to see it. I think it'd be a lot of fun. As I mentioned yesterday, Jimmy did tell Rachel the truth about his life outside of here. He does not live in Florida. He lives in DC. He's not a professional tennis coach. He is an AI consultant, strategist, whatever you want to call it. So Rachel returned the favor by sharing a secret of her own. Well, it's not really about her, but it's something she knew. So she does let Jimmy know that Amy was the accomplice on night one. So she says, don't tell anybody. Obviously, this is not some like game-changing secret, but it's a good time, right? They had a good laugh about it. They had some fun with it. All right. So moving on. Later, Ashley, Will, and Mickey are chatting in the HOH room. This was wild. So remember, these three are in an alliance called Peach Cobbler. I think this alliance is not doing well. I think this alliance has some mold on it. I think it's almost ready for the garbage. I think there's not a lot of time left for this alliance. Mickey is asking Ashley, what were you talking about with Jimmy? Because she saw that Ashley was talking to him in the gym, and she's like, oh, was Jimmy taking out his anger on the bike in the gym? Like, was he spinning out his anger? So Ashley is like, no, Jimmy seemed fine. He like barely talked about it. He was just saying that he really wants to win the blockbuster competition. And then Ashley says, and honestly, he might. Oh, I'm sure that sent chills down Mickey's spine. So Ashley also says, Jimmy could also win HOH if he stays. Like, he is a very capable competitor. He could win some stuff here. Again, this is not what Mickey wants to hear. So Ashley is like, I'm indifferent about Jimmy going up on the block. I don't think she's actually indifferent, but that's what she's saying to Mickey. And Mickey's like, why would you say that? It's good for you for Jimmy to go up, because if Jimmy won HOH, you'd be going on the block. And Ashley's like, not now. That might have been the case before, but not now. And Mickey's like, I don't believe that, Ash. And Ashley says, I do, because, I think if you didn't put him up on the block, then maybe he would be putting me up. And Mickey is insisting that Ashley would be Jimmy's third nominee regardless, no matter who went up as this week's replacement nominee. And again, Ashley's saying, don't think so. So Mickey's like, well, just know I don't have any more powers, Pookie. So she's basically saying, like, I can't just save your ass again with a power. Like, I don't have anything like that left, which is funny because Mickey would not have been able to use this power without Ashley. Ashley did a really good job of making it seem like she was the one with the power. So she should be thanking Ashley, but instead she's calling her Pookie and kind of being a jerk. But Ashley says, again, you just put Jimmy up on the block, so that changes everything. And Mickey says, it doesn't change anything. What? You really think that the house dynamics have not changed after you put your own ally Jimmy on the block? Come on. So Mickey says, the people that rock with me are the people that I'm going to keep safe, and vice versa. The people that play both sides after this decision are going to be sent home. And Ashley says, no, that's not what I'm saying. She says, I'm letting you know, I think Jimmy's mindset is going to be different now moving forward in this game. And she says, I don't think Jimmy ever thought that you would put him up on the block because he was never coming for you. Correct. So Mickey's like, hold on. Are you advocating for him? For Jimmy? I'm confused. And Ashley's like, I'm just making a statement. He didn't see this coming, so I'm sure things have changed. And she also tells Mickey, I don't know why you have an attitude about it right now. Oh! And this is a tense conversation. It is very intense. Mickey says, well, it sounds like you're defending Jimmy. So, yeah. So Mickey leaves the room. Yikes! Okay, so after that, Ashley and Will are chatting alone. And Ashley is heated. She says Mickey thinks that she can control every situation and that Ashley is just going to back up whatever she does. So Ashley says, now I'm going to try and save Jimmy's ass. Yeah. She says Mickey wants me to be mad at Jimmy. I'm not just going to yes ma'am her and do whatever she wants me to do. She says common sense says that Jimmy's plans would change now. So Ashley says, keep trying to play me. If I win HOH, I'm going to put her ass up. Ah! Whoa. So Will says, it is really weird for Mickey to think that nothing has changed now that she has put Jimmy up on the block. And Ashley agrees. She says Mickey is straight up delusional. Yes. Agree 100%. Hundo P. So Ashley says Mickey, now that she's kind of like flipped, she is at the bottom of her new group with Morgan, Vince, Zach, and Lauren. And I would agree with that. Um, those dudes would cut Mickey in a heartbeat. They are not attached to her. So Ashley says, everybody thinks that I'm dumb, but clearly I'm not. Will says he wants Ashley on retainer after the show's over, just in case he ever needs a lawyer. So I guess she did share her secret with him at some point. I remember maybe it was last week or the week before, they were having another conversation where Ashley was saying that she's smarter than people think. And she must have told him at that point about her being a lawyer. But they talk also about how this was not a resume move for Mickey. The people that are going to get credit for this are Morgan and Vince, because this is better for their games. Jimmy was not targeting Mickey. This was not a smart move for her. Mm-hmm. So then Rachel comes in and Ashley is retelling the conversation with Mickey. And Rachel confirms Jimmy would not put Ashley up on the block. Now, I have heard Jimmy go around and say that he would put Ashley up if he won next week because she's really been annoying him. She doesn't help throughout the house. But again, this was before Mickey decided to put him up. And I think things have changed quite a bit. So, also, again, I mentioned this yesterday. Even though he was saying he would put Ashley up, I don't know that he necessarily would have done that. I do think that Rachel would have steered him away from that. So I don't think he would have done that anyway. I think he was just saying that, possibly even as a cover, depending on who he was talking to, because he didn't want to name who he would actually put up. So Ashley is also really pissed that Mickey is trying to claim that she used her power this week specifically to save Ashley. Ashley says, no. Mickey used her power because she was worried that she was going to go up. Yeah. I don't think she would have blown that power just for Ashley. But Ashley says, whatever. I don't need Mickey anymore. She's delusional. She says, I do want Vince and Morgan out first, but once they're gone, Mickey can go. Ah! Seems like she's really done with Mickey at this point. So, shifting gears for a moment, Catherine and Riley were talking outside yesterday, and I'm just blowing through this really quickly because I can only stand watching them for so long before I'm just like, I need to go. I can't watch this. So, Catherine let Riley know that she's into him. Gross. I'm still not sure how genuine she is about this, because all the stuff that she was saying was basically her regurgitating things that he has said to her before. She was like, I look forward to seeing you every day. You're my favorite part about my days in here. I look for your voice in the morning or whatever. Like, this is all stuff that he's said. And she was like, I would literally be so upset if you weren't here. I hate this. But also, again, I feel like part of the reason she's saying all this is because he's always like, I will give up my game for you, Catherine. He's like the dude in Inside Out, the first one, who's like, I would die for Riley. But her name is Catherine and he's Riley. So he's all, I would die for Catherine. That's the vibe that I'm getting. She just doesn't want that to end. She wants this dude basically laying it all out on the line for her. And I'm sure she enjoys the attention too. But I'm not getting the vibe that she's like actually into him. But she tells him, I appreciate that you helped keep me off the block this week. Yeah, so of course he's all excited because he's like, oh my God, she actually likes me. Blah, 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 blah. But he was still being creepy like all throughout the night. Like he's trying to kiss her. He's trying to sleep in her bed. And she's like, no, I'm not, no. Ugh. Okay, so later, Ashley and Jimmy are chatting in the train bedroom, and she tells him about the awkward conversation with Mickey, and Jimmy confirms he would never put Ashley up on the block. And he's like, if I was going to do that, I would have done it when I was HOH, when I had to put up 5 people. That's a good point. And again, I really don't think he would do it now, considering how everything has unfolded here. But he's like, wow, Mickey low-key called you stupid. That is so disrespectful. She's unhinged at this point. But Ashley says, I know you've probably said that I'm annoying before, but like, who cares? We're moving on, right? And they agree. Everyone has been annoying at times. And you can tell Ashley is being smart here because a lot of times someone, Morgan, will hear a comment like that, like Morgan with the snake comment from Keanu, and they'll just hold on to it forever throughout the whole entire game. They just have this tunnel vision. But to be a good player here, you have to let stuff like that go. I mean, even if you look at Will, Jimmy put Will up on the block, but now Will is saying, Jimmy is better for my game, so I want to keep him around. He is moving past things that don't matter anymore. So, yeah, Ashley says it's not good for my game for Jimmy to go, and she lets Jimmy know, Mickey seems to want me to hate you, and I don't. She really wants you out of here, but again, Ashley is saying this is not Mickey's move. She is being manipulated by other people to do this. So Jimmy actually says if he wins HOH moving forward, he still would not put Mickey up on the block even after she did this. Because he is saying, I'm not going to put up potential numbers for me. So I do think that he probably has bigger fish to fry. He could probably potentially reel Mickey back in at some point. Maybe when she realizes that she is at the bottom of that group with Morgan, Vince, Zach, and Lauren. I don't know. But anyway, later. Mickey is retelling the conversation with Ashley to Morgan. So now we hear Mickey's side of it. And I just have to point out, it was insane how quickly Mickey was talking during this conversation. Like, it legit sounded like I was watching the live feeds on like double speed. Crazy. But Morgan says, whatever, Ashley has bad reads. Maybe when she was hanging out with Amy, but now she knows what's up. So they agree that Ashley should be glad that Jimmy is on the block because he would put her up. So Mickey says, Ashley, she's really feeling herself right now. She thinks she knows everything, but we are the ones who have been keeping her safe. And most of this house wants Ashley out. We kept her off the block when Lauren was HOH. Now she's up here flapping her mouth. And she says, Ashley just needs to be quiet and support the decision that I just made and understand that she's going to rock with whatever I do. This is wild. Also, if we think back a few weeks when Jimmy was HOH, how pissed Mickey and Morgan were about Jimmy's decisions. They weren't just being quiet and supporting his decisions. He overheard Morgan talking crap about him. So it's wild to me that they were, it was fine when they were against Jimmy's HOH and what he was doing. But now that Mickey made a controversial move, everyone has to just shut up and support it. It's crazy. But Morgan says, low key, Ashley is a floater. She's not making any decisions. We are on the front lines taking the shots, and she's just ducking behind us. Ashley did not support this move of Jimmy going up. She was pushing for Vince to go up. She was not part of this decision for Jimmy to go up on the block. So it's not like she's just ducking behind them. She is fully against this. But Morgan says she is ready to put up Ashley next week if she's going to keep acting like this. I think Mickey and Morgan have lost the plot at this point. All right, so that was last night. Today, Morgan and Mickey were both out on the campaign trail already. They were trying to make sure that those votes are going to be locked in for Jimmy to go. And they're starting now because they know that Jimmy and Rachel are really going to be trying to flip some votes, right? So Mickey is still fuming about Ashley. She was talking to Will this morning, and she said if Ashley doesn't vote out Jimmy, she is ungrateful, she's rude, she's not supportive. And Mickey says not once has Ashley come to me and said, good move, great job. Probably because it wasn't a good move or a great job. It was terrible. So she says Ashley, these are some of the things she said about Ashley. She's brainwashed, she's playing the middle, she's riding coattails, and she wants my HOH to fail. So Will is like playing along during this conversation. He's not like throwing shade at Ashley, but he's just like, yeah, that talk between you two really got messy, like blah, blah, blah. But I think we're probably going to see later Will bringing all of this stuff that Mickey said back to Ashley because he seems to be wanting to work more with Ashley than with Mickey. which he should. But it's going to be interesting. I feel like Ashley's going to be pretty pissed when she hears what Mickey's been saying. So other than that, the feeds have been crap today. There was a long stretch of time where we just saw people working out quietly in the gym, but then we had the squeaky elliptical machine. Then we saw people like napping. We saw Riley and Catherine like, well, I don't want to see that. And then the feeds went down for a while, and it turns out it was because they were doing the goo thing that's going to be for Friday's Unlocked episode. Remember, they had that vote for who should be gooed, and it was supposed to be who America thinks has the worst fashion sense. As predicted, Rachel was the one that got gooed for being like the worst dressed. I was still hoping it was going to be Riley, not even for his clothes, but just for his personality. But yeah, it was Rachel. I'm not surprised. I feel like they were angling for this because how many segments have they had on the show now about Rachel's eccentric fashion, right? So I'm really not surprised, but I'm sure she's going to take it in stride as the only returning player this season. But yeah, we'll see how things develop over the next, what do we have? 2 days? Wait, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, 2 days until the eviction. I'm hoping we're going to see some good campaigning this week, but we'll see what happens. So I want to thank you all so much for being here. Christine says Riley should have gotten it for his tattoos. They are something. Anne Louise says, I'm glad Jimmy got on the block, but don't want him to go yet. In a way, I think it's a good like wake-up call for him. I'm just hoping he's going to survive it because I'm interested to see how he would move in the game if he does stay now that he's got some more freedom, right? Amy also agrees. She checked to see if she had it on fast speed because Mickey was talking so fast. Seriously, it was nuts. Yeah, I'm seeing you guys are also agreeing the Catherine and Riley thing just does not seem genuine on Catherine's end. I would agree. All right. I want to thank our super chatters. You guys are awesome. So we have Solo Angel Mom. Yay, Janet. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited that you're one of our house guests of the day today. And she says these house guests need 2 sassy Zingbot vetoes. I would love to see Zingbot come in and just like roast everybody now. Apparently, I mean, we know it's probably not going to be until much later in the season, but I feel like they should bring him in earlier so we can get more roasts. I guess it's not enough time for them to get storylines for Zingbot to work with, but we could use some Zingbot. Thank you again to Solo Angel Mom. Chance Pryor, thank you so much. Chance says, can't wait to see Mickey and Morgan get evicted now. I feel like they are going to melt down when they eventually go up on the block. It's going to be a hard fall. Agreed. Thank you, Chance. And Shane Wright, thank you so much. Shane says none of these HOHs make sense. I know. It's almost like whenever somebody wins HOH, you think of like the most ridiculous possibility of what they'll do, and that's what they end up doing. It's wild. I mean, I don't know if there's like a gas leak in the house or what the deal is, but it's a mess. But thank you to Shane. Connor Benson, thank you so much for the super chat. Connor says, Mickey's downfall has to be studied. Is this the get your allies out season? I will cry laughing tears if Vince or Zach get Mickey out. It's deserved at this point. Hashtag justice for Jimmy. It would be very funny if they took her out. It would be even funnier if Morgan won HOH and they convinced her to take Mickey out. I mean, anything's possible this season, right? And it really is wild how quickly Mickey went from being, I think, one of the best positioned players and one of the smartest to just like, she just tanked her own game. It's wild. Yeah, these people really need to stop going after their own allies. Raven Pick says, Morgan can't trust Mickey. I am with Ashley. I'm also with Ashley. I've been up and down with Ashley, but above anything else, she's really freaking entertaining. I just keep going back to that clip of her in the storage room, looking at herself in the mirror and like practicing her smile and being like, I hope we get to see that on the show. But Yeah, the Morgan Mickey thing. I feel like once Mickey is no longer HOH, she's probably going to notice Morgan drifting away from her a bit again because that's what was happening before Mickey won HOH. So I think it's going to happen again. Thank you again. And then I don't know if I'm going to say this right. Is it S Babula? Thank you so much for the super chat. And she says, love Rachel. Yeah, Rachel is a queen. I've been having so much fun watching her this season and seeing how much she has grown since the last time she was on. But all right, I got to go. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you all. I will be back tomorrow for more. So I hope you'll join us for that. And until next time, much love. Bye, everybody. Bye.